Welcome, dear listener. Settle into your space, let your shoulders drop, and take a slow, deep breath in and out. Release the weight of the day you have just carried. Tonight, we journey far away to a quiet valley hidden deep within the ancient German forests. We are walking toward a forgotten castle, untouched by time, resting under a century-long spell of peaceful slumber. Here, there are no waking worries, only the gentle embrace of twilight, the soft dance of glowing dust motes, and a deep, magical quiet. Close your eyes and let us walk into the stillness. As you step fully past the towering threshold of the briar rose, the massive thorny vines silently and smoothly close behind you. They interlock with a gentle, organic finality, creating an impenetrable wall that completely seals away the noisy, waking world. You are now held safely within the protective embrace of the enchanted grounds. Here, time holds no power. The air in the vast outer courtyard is remarkably cool and refreshing, carrying the faint, sweet perfume of the ancient roses mixed with the deep, earthy scent of sleeping moss. Above you, the sky has deepened into a profound, velvety indigo, a vast ocean of night, completely free from the harsh glare of the sun. The only illumination comes from the soft, ethereal silver glow of a rising moon, casting a gentle, protective light over the sleeping stones. You stand perfectly still for a moment, simply breathing in the overwhelming peace of this forgotten place, feeling the weight of your own fatigue becoming a comfortable, welcomed heaviness. Your eyes slowly adjust to the beautiful, dim light, revealing the quiet majesty of the courtyard. Surrounding you on all sides are magnificent examples of historical Hessian architecture. These are sturdy, half-timbered structures built centuries ago, their thick, exposed oak beams forming intricate geometric patterns against the pale, ancient plaster of the walls. The wood is dark and weathered, completely preserved by the lingering magic of the century-long slumber. Delicate tendrils of emerald ivy have crept up from the foundations, tracing the lines of the timber, softening the sharp corners, and draping gracefully over the slanted rooftops. In the pale moonlight, the leaves of the ivy appear to be painted in shades of deep teal and midnight blue, casting long, smooth, cell-shaded shadows that stretch across the facades. There is no decay here, only a beautiful, slow reclamation by nature, a quiet agreement between the stone, the wood, and the earth to rest together in perfect harmony. You begin to walk forward, your movements naturally slowing to match the deep, sleepy rhythm of the castle. Beneath your feet, the ground is paved with smooth, uneven cobblestones. Over the past 100 years, a thick, velvety carpet of dark green moss has grown between every single stone, acting as a natural, silent cushion for your footsteps. As you step, there is no harsh echo, no sharp sound of leather against rock. There is only a soft, muffled whisper, a rhythmic, hypnotic sound that feels like a gentle heartbeat pulsing through the soles of your feet. With every slow, deliberate step you take across the courtyard, you feel a wave of deep relaxation traveling up through your legs, easing the muscles and encouraging your entire body to surrender to the pervasive stillness. You are walking through a dream, a physical journey into the very heart of tranquility. where every physical sensation is designed to soothe and calm your weary mind. In the very center of the expansive courtyard, bathed in a solitary, concentrated shaft of moonlight, stands a magnificent stone fountain. As you draw closer, the true, astonishing nature of the magical curse reveals itself to you. The water is not flowing. It is completely, flawlessly suspended in midair. An arc of water, bursting from the mouth of a carved stone lion, is frozen in time. The individual droplets hovering like a string of perfectly polished glass beads. The moonlight catches these suspended droplets, making them sparkle with a soft silver luminescence against the deep blue shadows of the night. Beneath the frozen arc, the surface of the basin is as smooth and reflective as a polished mirror, disturbed by absolutely nothing. Floating lazily around this monument of frozen time are thousands of tiny golden dust motes. They are the only things permitted to move, performing their slow, ethereal ballet in the quiet air, drifting gently around the suspended water droplets in a mesmerizing microkinetic dance of pure relaxation. You find yourself captivated by this incredible display of magical stasis, your breathing slowing to match the absolute stillness of the water. As you look up from the fountain, your gaze drifts toward the heavy wooden eaves of the surrounding buildings. There, lined up in neat, quiet rows, is a flock of snow-white doves. They were caught by the spell exactly 100 years ago, just as they were settling in for the evening. Their heads are tucked deeply and comfortably beneath their soft wings, their bodies puffed up against the cool night air. If you look very closely, through the dim atmospheric light, you can see the incredibly slow, rhythmic rise and fall of their tiny chests. They are breathing in a state of impossibly deep, undisturbed hibernation. The sight of these peaceful, sleeping creatures sends a profound wave of drowsiness over you. You feel a sympathetic heaviness behind your own eyes, a deep, undeniable urge to close them and join the doves in their century-long rest. But your journey is not quite over. The gentle pull of the castle draws you onward, guiding you away from the magical fountain and the sleeping birds. You continue your slow, quiet walk across the mossy cobblestones, navigating the deep blue shadows that pool in the corners of the courtyard. Ahead of you, rising above the half-timbered roofs, is the massive, dark silhouette of the main keep, the absolute center of the slumbering kingdom. Though the windows are dark, a faint, incredibly dim amber glow seems to emanate from the base of the great structure, offering a warm, inviting contrast to the cool night air. The magic of the briar rose has woven a spell of absolute safety around you, ensuring that nothing will startle or wake you. With your shoulders completely relaxed and your mind emptied of all waking concerns, you drift steadily toward the grand entrance, ready to leave the cool night behind and step into the insulated, ancient warmth of the sleeping interior. With the sleeping fountain and slumbering doves fading into the shadows behind you, your meditative journey continues across the courtyard. The deep moss beneath your feet muffles every footfall, turning your walk into a silent glide. Ahead, the massive silhouette of the castle's main keep rises majestically against the dark, indigo night sky. The sheer scale of the stone structure is breathtaking, yet not intimidating. It radiates a profound sense of ancient, unshakable stability. Wrapped in the protective magic of the briar rose, the fortress stands as a monument to perfect peace. The cool night air brushes your cheeks, carrying the sleepy fragrance of the forest, inviting you to seek the comforting enclosure of the castle walls. As you draw closer to the towering keep, the intricate details of the great oak threshold reveal themselves in the soft moonlight. Before you stand colossal wooden doors, crafted centuries ago from the most resilient timber of the enchanted woods. These magnificent doors are not shut tight. Exactly 100 years ago, in the very moment the magical slumber descended, someone had just begun to open them. They remain perfectly frozen, left slightly ajar, creating a welcoming gap that beckons you inward. The surface of the heavy oak is a masterpiece of historic craftsmanship, covered in smooth carvings depicting ancient forest tales. Time and magic have softened these carvings, giving the dark wood a rich texture that looks incredibly inviting in the dim light. The massive doors are held by heavy, hand-forged iron hinges stretching across the timber. Normally, a century of neglect would leave this metal rusted. But here, within the spellbound domain, the iron remains perfectly preserved, cool and dark against the warm wood. Adding to the profound beauty, nature has gently embraced the architecture. Delicate, creeping tendrils of emerald ivy have wound their way up from the cobblestones, tracing the curves of the ironwork and weaving across the ancient wood. The waxy leaves catch the faint moonlight, creating smooth gradients of deep teal and cool green. It is a visual testament to a quiet harmony between the rigid strength of the castle and the soft life of the forest, resting together in an eternal embrace. From the narrow space between the slightly open doors, a totally different quality of light spills onto the mossy cobblestones. It is a beautiful contrast to the deep, cool blues of the courtyard night. This light is incredibly dim, yet wonderfully warm, radiating a deep amber glow that speaks of absolute comfort and domestic safety. It is the light of a magical lantern or a perfectly preserved hearth fire burning within the entry hall. This golden luminescence reaches into the dark, casting soft shadows and creating an inviting pathway just for you. It soothes the eyes, promising a sanctuary insulated from the chill of the evening. It is the visual equivalent of a warm blanket waiting to be wrapped around your tired shoulders. With a slow, deliberate breath, you step through the threshold, leaving the open night behind and entering the insulated interior of the slumbering keep. The transition is immediate and comforting. The cool air of the courtyard is instantly replaced by an ancient warmth that settles deeply into your bones. The atmosphere here is dense with the magic of the 100-year sleep. As you cross the stone threshold, you notice a distinct shift in the fragrance of the air. The damp smells of moss fade, replaced by the comforting aromas of polished wood, antique leather, and the nostalgic scent of a low-burning wood smoke fire. Every sensory detail is perfectly calibrated to make you feel safe, sheltered, and completely detached from the endless demands of the waking world. Standing inside the grand entry hall, you look around, letting your eyes adjust to the atmospheric dimness. The interior architecture is magnificent, with high, vaulted stone ceilings that disappear upward into a heavy canopy of restful shadows. Because the doors and walls are so thick, the acoustic nature of the space has changed dramatically. The faint rustle of the forest is completely gone, replaced by a muffled, heavy silence that presses gently against your ears like a down pillow. This is an absolute silence, found only where time itself has stopped. The quiet is so profound, so velvety, that you can feel it wrapping around your mind, gently quieting your thoughts, slowing down your cognitive rhythms, and signaling your nervous system to power down and rest. Through the darkness of the hall, a single shaft of warm amber light cuts a diagonal path across the worn stone floor. Suspended within this gentle beam are millions of tiny, glowing dust motes. Untouched by any breeze, they perform a mesmerizing ballet, drifting lazily through the ancient air. They catch the dim light, sparkling faintly like a miniature constellation trapped within the walls. You find yourself standing perfectly still, entirely captivated by their slow, aimless floating. Watching them requires no effort, only passive observation. The visual rhythm of their rising and falling is hypnotic, perfectly contagious to your body. You feel your breathing deepen, your chest rising in slow harmony with the drifting particles of golden light. Your eyelids feel wonderfully heavy. There is nothing for you to do here, no task to complete, and absolutely no rush to move on. The castle has waited a century, and it will wait an eternity more if necessary. The magic of the slumbering kingdom has enveloped you, recognizing your peaceful intent and rewarding it with unparalleled tranquility. Every muscle in your body, from your jaw to your toes, has softened and let go. You are insulated, protected, and hidden away within the heavy stone walls of this forgotten fairy tale. As you prepare to move deeper into the adjoining Great Hall, you carry this profound stillness with you. The journey inward continues, a slow descent through the castle, mirroring your mind's descent into a long, restorative sleep. As you leave the quiet intimacy of the threshold behind, you drift gracefully through a wide, arching stone doorway and emerge into the breathtaking expanse of the castle's great hall. This is the heart of the fortress, a cavernous space where the echoes of ancient feasts and grand celebrations have been completely silenced by the gentle, heavy hand of the century-long slumber. The ceiling above you is a masterpiece of historic architecture, soaring upwards into the shadows with massive exposed wooden rafters that crisscross like the branches of an ancient, petrified forest. Despite the immense size of the room, it does not feel empty or intimidating. Instead, the thick stone walls, draped in muted woven tapestries, insulate the space, holding on to a deep, resonant warmth that wraps around you like a heavy, comforting blanket. The air here is perfectly still, carrying the faint, nostalgic scent of roasted meats that left off frizzling exactly 100 years ago. You take a deep breath, and as you exhale, you release any tension, allowing the profound tranquility to settle into your bones. Stretching out before you, running the entire length of the magnificent room, are long, heavy banquet tables, crafted from the darkest, richest oak. They are perfectly set for a royal feast that was paused mid-celebration, a breathtaking still life painting brought to life. The tables are covered with elegant, muted fabrics that pool softly onto the worn stone floor. Arranged meticulously along the wood are exquisite golden plates and polished silver goblets, their metallic surfaces catching the dim, atmospheric light and reflecting it in soft, hazy halos. Yet there is no clinking of silverware, no joyous laughter, and no rustling of garments. The silence is absolute, a velvety quiet that feels almost physical in its presence. As you walk slowly down the aisle between the tables, your footsteps make absolutely no sound. You are a silent observer, drifting peacefully through a moment of time that has been flawlessly preserved. The sheer beauty of the suspended animation washes over you, gently encouraging your mind to stop racing, to stop anticipating the next moment, and to simply exist in this perfect, uninterrupted present. As your eyes wander downward, adjusting further to the beautiful, sleepy dimness, you notice the noble inhabitants of the hall resting peacefully upon the intricate, hand-woven floor rugs. Scattered around the base of the long wooden tables are several large, beautiful hunting dogs. They have succumbed completely to the magic of the briar rose, lying perfectly still in the very spots where they had curled up a century ago. Their heads rest heavily upon their massive paws, and their thick, soft fur looks incredibly inviting in the gentle light. As you kneel down slowly to observe one of the hounds, you can see the incredibly slow, rhythmic rise and fall of its chest. It is a deep, profound state of hibernation, a sleep so perfect and untroubled that it instantly becomes contagious. You find your own breathing naturally slowing to match the dog's gentle rhythm. Inhale and exhale. The sight of these powerful animals completely surrendered to rest sends a wave of profound relaxation through your own limbs. Your eyelids grow heavier, pulled downward by the comforting gravity of the enchanted room. At the far end of the cavernous hall, drawing your attention like a gentle beacon in the night, is a truly massive stone hearth. Within its blackened archway lies the most mesmerizing manifestation of the castle's magical stasis. A great fire of thick wooden logs is burning, yet it is completely, perfectly frozen in time. The flames, normally flickering and chaotic, are suspended in mid-air, sculpted into smooth, stylized peaks of deep amber and soft orange light. Even the fire that was flaming on the hearth became quiet and slept under the power of the curse. There is no crackle of burning sap, no pop of shifting wood, and no smoke rising into the chimney. It is an eternal, unmoving light source that radiates a soft, steady, and incredibly soothing warmth across the cold stone. This gentle, frozen fire casts long, lazy shadows across the room, painting the sleeping hounds and the golden plates in rich, warm hues that contrast beautifully with the deep, cool indigo of the night pressing against the high stained glass windows. You step closer to the hearth, letting its magical, unchanging warmth wash over your face and chest, melting away the last remnants of the waking world's chill. Suspended within the localized aura of this frozen amber fire is a localized galaxy of tiny, glowing dust motes. They are completely undisturbed by any draft or breeze, for the wind fell entirely a century ago, and not a single breath of air has moved through the castle since. Yet, the dust motes perform a microscopic, ethereal ballet. They drift lazily in the warm light, rising and falling in an imperceptible, magical current. Their movement is the only thing that suggests time has not stopped completely, but rather slowed down to an incredibly peaceful crawl. You stand before the hearth, your eyes tracking the slow, hypnotic journey of a single golden speck as it floats downward, catching the light like a tiny, sleepy star. Watching this delicate dance requires absolutely no cognitive effort. It is a visual lullaby that sweeps away all complex thoughts, leaving your mind wonderfully blank and serene. The gentle glow of the dust, combined with the unchanging warmth of the fire, acts as a powerful sedative, coaxing your nervous system into a state of total surrender. The Great Hall has become a sanctuary of absolute rest. Within these heavy walls, nothing can demand your attention, interrupt your peace, or harm you. You are completely protected by the towering hedge of thorns outside. The magic has provided a rare gift, permission to do absolutely nothing. As you prepare to leave the hall and continue your gentle journey deeper into the castle, you carry the heavy, comforting warmth of the hearth with you. Your steps are slow as you turn towards a low stone archway leading toward the silent kitchens. Your mind is now wrapped in the soft, thick velvet of the castle's slumber. You are ready to let go entirely, ready to drift further into the beautiful, endless night, where the only destination is the deep, restorative embrace of a perfect, dreamless sleep. Leaving the heavy, comforting warmth of the grand dining hall behind, your slow, meditative journey continues deeper into the foundational heart of the slumbering castle. You drift gracefully toward a low, rounded stone archway that leads away from the cavernous open spaces and down a short, narrow corridor of worn cobblestones. As you pass through this thick stone threshold, you immediately notice a distinct shift in the atmosphere. The soaring, echoing acoustics of the royal feasting room are replaced by a much closer, more intimate sense of enclosure. The ceiling here is lower, constructed of massive, hand-hewn oak beams that cross the plaster in sturdy, reliable patterns. The air feels cooler, grounding your senses and drawing your awareness inward. With every deliberate, silent step you take along the soft moss that cushions the floor, you feel your physical body becoming heavier, more relaxed, and perfectly aligned with the quiet, unhurried pace of the enchanted fortress. You emerge from the narrow corridor into the castle kitchens, a space that offers a profound and beautiful contrast to its intended nature. Historically, this room would have been the most chaotic, energetic, and overwhelmingly loud center of the entire kingdom. It was a place of roaring hearths, clattering ironwork, shouting voices, and constant, frantic motion. Yet now, touched by the benevolent, protective magic of the briar rose, the frantic energy of the past has been completely erased. It has been replaced by an overwhelming, flawless stasis. The sheer weight of the century-long slumber sits heaviest in this room, pressing down like a thick velvet blanket over every surface. The silence here is not just an absence of sound, it is a physical presence, a deep, resonant quiet that absorbs all thought and worry. Standing in the center of the dark, rustic room, you feel a profound sense of relief washing over you. The endless chores, the urgent tasks, and the busy demands of waking life simply do not exist here. Everything has been permitted to stop. Your eyes slowly adapt to the deeply soothing, atmospheric dimness of the workspace. The moonlight, filtering down through small, deep-set stone windows high on the wall, paints the room in rich, cooling shades of deep indigo, soft violet, and midnight blue. The smells here are earthy and remarkably preserved. You can detect the faint nostalgic fragrance of dried wild mint, crushed rosemary, and the clean, dusty scent of ancient, cold ash resting perfectly still in the massive stone fireplaces. Hanging from the dark, soot-stained wooden rafters above are dozens of beautiful, hand-hammered copper pots and pans. They catch the stray beams of the silver moon and the lingering, distant amber glow from the hallway, reflecting the light in soft, hazy, cell-shaded gradients. The curved metallic surfaces act like tiny, sleepy moons themselves, glowing warmly against the dark, cool shadows of the ceiling. You find your gaze drifting slowly from one polished pot to the next, tracing a lazy, hypnotic path that requires absolutely no cognitive effort, allowing your mind to empty entirely. Near the center of the kitchen, seated at a massive, heavily scarred wooden preparation table, is the head cook. He has surrendered entirely to the majestic 100-year sleep. He sits in a sturdy, high-backed wooden chair, his body completely relaxed, draped in the highly authentic, muted earth tones of his historical medieval clothing. His head nods forward gently, resting in a posture of ultimate, uninterrupted comfort. One hand lies softly on the wooden table, his fingers curled loosely just inches away from a smooth wooden spoon. As you observe him through the dim, cool light, you can see the incredibly slow, steady, and rhythmic rise and fall of his shoulders. His breathing is a deep, slow ocean tide, perfectly synchronized with the heartbeat of the sleeping castle. Watching him, your own muscles automatically mirror his profound relaxation. You feel the tension melting away from your neck, your jaw unclasping, and your shoulders dropping an inch lower. The peace of the sleeping cook is a visual lullaby, coaxing your nervous system into a state of total, heavy surrender. The intricate magic of the grim curse extends to the very smallest details of the castle, ensuring that absolutely nothing disrupts the sacred quiet. As you look past the sleeping cook and focus your attention on the rough, uneven stones of the kitchen walls, you witness the absolute totality of the spell. Resting upon the cold stone are tiny, dark silhouettes. They are the kitchen flies, creatures that once buzzed with endless, erratic energy. Now caught in the exact moment, the magical slumber washed over the kingdom. They sleep perfectly still, their delicate wings frozen in time. Completely silent. There is no buzzing, no fluttering, no sudden movements to catch the eye or startle the mind. This micro level of stasis is incredibly comforting. It reassures you that the outside world, with all its chaotic, unpredictable buzzing, has been completely locked away. You are safe here, insulated within a flawless bubble of suspended time, where even the smallest insect has been granted the gift of a century of unbroken rest. Through a narrow, arched stone window on the far side of the room, a singular, distinct beam of soft silver moonlight angles downward, cutting a diagonal path through the deep navy shadows. Trapped within this localized shaft of gentle light is a delicate, floating cloud of golden dust motes. They perform their slow, ethereal ballet above a basket of dried, sleeping herbs. They rise and fall in a mesmerizing, microkinetic dance, guided only by the unseen, quiet magic of the room. You stand still for a long time, watching the glowing particles drift aimlessly, feeling the last remnants of your waking consciousness begin to blur and soften. The rustic, grounded peace of the silent kitchens has anchored your mind, preparing your physical body for the deeper stages of sleep. With a heavy, contented sigh, you slowly turn away from the sleeping cook and the floating dust, ready to leave the foundational levels of the fortress behind. Your gentle journey continues, guiding you softly toward the grand staircase, floating upward into the deeper, quieter realms of the enchanted night. With a contented sigh, you turn away from the quiet kitchens and step back into the hushed stone corridor. The grounded, earthy atmosphere of the lower levels gently fades behind you, replaced by a noticeably cooler, fresher air that seems to draft slowly downwards from the upper reaches of the ancient keep. Your journey through the slumbering castle is far from over, but the nature of it is shifting. You are leaving behind the functional, foundational spaces of the fortress and preparing to ascend into the more private, elevated sanctuaries of the royal family. The heavy, velvety silence of the 100-year sleep presses against your shoulders, not as a burden, but as a comforting, protective weight that guides you forward. You walk effortlessly along the moss-cushioned cobblestones, your body feeling wonderfully loose and untethered from the waking world. Every deliberate, unhurried footfall carries you deeper into a profound state of relaxation, as if you are moving underwater or drifting slowly through the hazy landscape of a pleasant, endless dream. The low, arched corridor gradually widens, eventually opening into a magnificent, soaring vertical space that takes your breath away. Before you lies the castle's grand staircase, a sweeping, majestic curve of ancient stone that spirals gracefully upward, vanishing into the deep blue shadows of the upper floors. The architecture here is a testament to the elegant, sweeping lines of medieval design, with smooth, hand-carved stone balustrades that curve like the gentle arc of a sleeping swan's neck. But it is not the stone that captures your attention. It is the breathtaking carpet that runs down the center of the steps. A thick, incredibly luxurious runner of muted, dark crimson velvet cascades down the staircase like a frozen waterfall. The fabric has been perfectly preserved by the lingering magic of the briar rose, its surface plush and inviting in the dim, atmospheric light. This velvet path was designed for the quietest, most graceful of ascents, and it beckons you now to continue your journey upward, promising a pathway of absolute comfort and unparalleled softness. You approach the base of the sweeping curve and place your foot upon the first step. The moment your soul connects with the thick, plush velvet, any remaining sound in the world is completely absorbed. There is no echo of your movement, no harsh scraping of leather against stone, only an impossibly deep, muffled quiet that feels incredibly soothing to your tired ears. You begin to climb, and with each slow, deliberate step you take, a strange and beautiful sensation washes over you. Instead of feeling the physical exertion of ascending a staircase, You feel yourself becoming lighter, as if the heavy physical anchor of your waking life is being gently detached. Yet, paradoxically, as your body feels more buoyant and effortless, your eyelids grow heavier and heavier. The rhythmic, repetitive motion of lifting your foot, placing it softly on the velvet, and stepping upward acts as a powerful physical metronome. It is a deeply hypnotic rhythm, a slow motion dance that perfectly synchronizes with the slowing beat of your own resting heart. Inhale as you step up. Exhale as you settle onto the soft fabric. Up and up into the quiet night. As you follow the gentle spiral of the grand staircase, the curving outer wall reveals a series of towering, narrow stained glass windows. These magnificent panes of ancient glass rise high above you, their leaded lines depicting serene, stylized scenes of sleeping forests, quiet stags, and heavy-lidded silver moons. Outside, the world is wrapped in the absolute totality of the deep, midnight sky. But the brilliant silver light of the actual moon is strong enough to pierce through the magical glass. The moonlight filters down into the stairwell, casting long, slanted pools of color across the dark red velvet runner and the pale stone walls. Because of the cool nighttime palette, the light does not burn with the harshness of the sun, but rather glows with soft, ethereal shades of pale violet, deep indigo, and shimmering silver. These pools of colored light create smooth, beautiful, cell-shaded gradients that paint the architecture in a dreamy, surreal wash of tranquility. You pause your ascent for a moment, simply to stand within one of these lunar beams, letting the cool, soft light wash over your face, bathing you in the concentrated, peaceful magic of the century-long slumber. It is here, standing in the gentle cascade of the moonlight, that you notice the most mesmerizing detail of the grand staircase. Suspended entirely within the slanted, colorful rays of the lunar light are millions of tiny, glowing dust motes. In the absolute stasis of the castle, where the wind dropped entirely 100 years ago, and not a single breath of air has stirred since, these delicate particles should have settled. Yet, caught in the grip of the enchanted sleep, they remain suspended, performing a flawless, ethereal ballet. They drift and sway with impossible slowness, catching the silver and violet light, sparkling faintly, like a localized galaxy of sleepy miniature stars scattered across the dark expanse of the stairwell. You lean against the smooth stone railing, resting your chin on your hand, completely captivated by their microkinetic dance. Watching them requires absolutely no thought, no analysis, and no effort. You simply let your eyes unfocus, allowing the lazy, drifting paths of the dust motes to sweep away the very last, lingering remnants of your conscious thoughts. Your mind becomes as empty, as quiet, and as peaceful as the silent air around you. With a heavy, contented sigh, you slowly push yourself away from the stone railing and resume your hypnotic climb. The higher you ascend, the deeper the shadows become. The colorful pools of moonlight begin to space further apart, giving way to the rich, heavy navy blues and dark indigos that gather near the upper landing. You are reaching the zenith of the royal keep, moving ever closer to the epicenter of the magical curse, where the sleep is at its most concentrated and profound. The air here is incredibly still, carrying the faint, dry scent of ancient paper and old leather wafting from the corridors ahead. Your eyelids are fluttering now, barely able to stay open against the comforting, overwhelming weight of the enchanted slumber. You take the final step off the velvet runner, ready to drift silently toward the sprawling royal library, completely surrendered to the gentle, unstoppable tide of sleep. As you step off the final plush tread of the grand staircase, the sprawling upper landing greets you with a profound, enveloping quiet. You have ascended into the highest, most private echelons of the slumbering fortress, leaving the echoing halls of the lower castle far behind. The air up here feels incredibly insulated, trapped beneath massive stone arches and heavy wooden rafters. It carries a deeply nostalgic, dry fragrance, a comforting blend of ancient parchment, polished oak, and binding leather, undisturbed for exactly 100 years. Ahead of you, set into the smooth stone wall, is a set of tall, narrow double doors leading into the royal library. They stand slightly ajar, left perfectly frozen when the magical sleep swept through the kingdom like a gentle, invisible tide. With a slow, effortless motion, you drift toward the opening, feeling the heavy weight of the castle's silence pressing softly against your shoulders, guiding you inward. Crossing the threshold, you enter a breathtaking sanctuary of forgotten knowledge. The Royal Library is a cavernous, circular room of magnificent proportions. Entirely lined from the smooth stone floor to the soaring vaulted ceiling with towering, hand-carved wooden bookshelves. This is a quiet resting place for thousands of ancient tomes, heavy ledgers, and delicate scrolls, all standing shoulder to shoulder in perfect, uninterrupted slumber. In the waking world, a room this large would echo with the rustle of turning pages and the whispers of scholars. But tonight, bound by the protective magic of the briar rose, the library is an ocean of absolute stillness. The sheer volume of paper and leather acts as a magnificent acoustic dampener, absorbing every vibration and creating an atmosphere of muffled, velvety peace. You take a slow, deep breath, letting the comforting scent of old books fill your lungs, your chest rising and falling in slow harmony. The lighting within this vast repository is a masterpiece of magical preservation and natural beauty. High above, near the vaulted ceiling, a row of narrow arched windows lets in the cool, ethereal light of the full moon. This silver illumination cascades downward in distinct diagonal beams, cutting through the rich, heavy indigo and deep navy shadows pooling in the corners. Nature, too, has found its way into this sanctuary of human learning. Through a small gap in the upper stonework, delicate tendrils of emerald ivy have slowly wound their way inside over the past century. The vines drape gracefully over the highest shelves, their waxy, dark green leaves resting gently upon the spines of the oldest books. In the soft moonlight, the ivy appears beautifully cell-shaded, a gentle reminder that while time has stopped for the castle, the peaceful reclamation of the forest continues outside in perfect harmony. You begin to walk slowly down one of the narrow aisles formed by the towering shelves. The floorboards beneath your feet are thick, dark oak, worn smooth by centuries of pacing scholars. Yet your footsteps make absolutely no sound. You are a silent ghost, drifting through an archive of dreams. To your left and right, the leather spines display faded gold leaf lettering, catching stray glimmers of moonlight and reflecting them into the shadows. You trail your fingertips lightly over the edge of the wooden shelves as you walk, feeling the cool, solid reality of the ancient wood. Every book contains a captured world, but tonight, those worlds are deeply asleep, requiring nothing from you. There is no need to read, no need to process information. The library offers you the ultimate permission to simply exist, to let go of your waking curiosity, and to allow your mind to become wonderfully blank. At the very center of the circular library, situated beneath the largest arched window, sits a massive, heavy oak reading desk. It is a beautiful piece of medieval craftsmanship, covered in intricate carvings of forest scenes. As you approach the desk, you witness another breathtaking manifestation of the 100-year curse. Resting upon the dark wood is a brass candlestick, and at its tip burns a solitary, magical flame. It is completely frozen in time. The fire does not flicker, it does not dance, and it consumes no wax. It is suspended as a perfect teardrop of soft amber light. This localized glow casts an incredibly warm halo across the surface of the desk, providing a soothing contrast to the vast, cool blue shadows of the surrounding room. The amber light reaches out to you, acting like a visual anchor in the quiet dark, drawing your heavy eyes toward its mesmerizing warmth. Lying open beneath the warm glow of the suspended candle is a massive leather-bound tome. Its thick, rough parchment pages are perfectly preserved, the ink crisp and dark, completely untouched by the decay of time. But it is not the ancient text that captures your attention. It is the air directly above the book. Trapped within the gentle radius of the amber light is a localized galaxy of tiny, glowing golden dust motes. In the absolute, breathless stillness of the library, they perform their slow, ethereal ballet. They drift lazily, rising and falling in microscopic currents, catching the light and sparkling like sleepy miniature stars against the deep indigo backdrop. Your gaze locks onto one single glowing particle, following its impossibly slow, hypnotic journey as it floats downward, eventually coming to rest upon the edge of the open page. Watching this delicate dance dissolves the final knots of tension. As you stand there, completely mesmerized by the floating dust and the frozen flame, you become aware of a sensation rather than a sound. It is the incredibly faint, low-frequency hum of the ancient magic itself. The protective spell holding the entire castle in its gentle grip. It vibrates softly through the heavy stone floor, traveling up through your legs and settling deeply into your chest. It is a physical lullaby, a resonant hum matching the slowing, heavy rhythm of your own heartbeat. Your eyelids flutter, suddenly too heavy to keep open. The profound insulation of the library, the comforting scent of old paper, the cool moonlight and the warm amber glow have all conspired to pull you down into the deepest stages of relaxation. The waking world is completely gone. There is only the absolute safety of the quiet dark and the irresistible gravity of the enchanted slumber drawing you onward. Reluctantly but peacefully, you pull your gaze away from the frozen amber flame of the reading desk. The Royal Library has offered you a profound sense of quiet, but the enchanted castle continues to gently guide you forward, drawing you deeper into its slumbering heart. You drift silently across the dark oak floorboards, passing beneath another grand stone archway and into a short transitional corridor. Instantly, The dry, nostalgic scent of ancient paper and cracked leather begins to fade, replaced by something entirely different. The air grows noticeably cooler, carrying a rich, humid weight that feels incredibly refreshing against your tired skin. It is the unmistakable fragrance of lush, damp earth and resting greenery. At the end of the short corridor stands a pair of tall, elegant doors, crafted from dark wrought iron and thick glass. They are slightly open, draped in delicate tendrils of creeping ivy that have wandered out from the room beyond. With a slow, effortless push, you glide past the iron doors and step into the spectacular botanical sanctuary of the castle's grand conservatory. It is a breathtaking architectural marvel, a massive indoor garden enclosed by soaring walls of glass and a complex domed ceiling of interconnected ironwork. The metal ribs of the structure were forged to mimic the arching branches of forest trees, creating a seamless, organic transition between the human architecture and the wild nature it houses. Because the walls and ceiling are completely transparent, you feel as though you have stepped back outside into the expansive night, yet you remain entirely insulated, protected, and warm. Above you, the sky is a vast, uninterrupted ocean of deep navy and rich indigo. Slow-moving, heavy clouds drift lazily across the heavens, occasionally parting to reveal soft, stylized silver stars. The moonlight pours down through the curved glass roof, bathing the entire conservatory in a cool, ethereal wash of pale violet and shimmering silver. The scale of the plant life within this glass sanctuary is magnificent, yet it lacks any of the chaotic, untamed energy of the waking forest. Over the past century, exotic ferns, towering palms, and thick, flowering vines have grown to fill the space, wrapping themselves intricately around the iron pillars and spilling gracefully over the edges of carved stone planters. But under the heavy, benevolent magic of the briar rose, this indoor jungle has fallen into a state of absolute, perfect stasis. The giant, waxy leaves of the tropical plants do not rustle or sway, for there is absolutely no wind to disturb them. The delicate, pale pink and white blossoms of the climbing vines are frozen in eternal bloom, their petals completely motionless in the cool night air. It is a lush, verdant paradise caught in a state of suspended animation. The sheer stillness of so much organic life is deeply mesmerizing. You walk slowly along the winding stone path, running your fingertips gently over a sleeping leaf, feeling the uninterrupted peace radiating from the flora. The air inside the conservatory is an elixir of pure relaxation. It is incredibly fresh, thick with the soothing perfumes of a nocturnal paradise. You inhale slowly, and your lungs fill with the deep, grounding scent of ancient, damp moss, mixed with the sweet, intoxicating aroma of night-blooming jasmine. These flowers open their delicate petals exactly 100 years ago to greet the moon, and they have remained perfectly open, perfectly fragrant ever since. Breathing in this heavy floral air acts as a natural, powerful sedative. With every slow inhalation, you feel a wave of deep, physical relaxation wash down through your chest, unraveling the tight muscles in your back and shoulders. With every exhalation, you release another tether to the waking world, sinking deeper into the soft, comforting embrace of the castle's eternal midnight. Your movements become even slower, your footsteps completely silent upon the moss-covered stones of the garden path, perfectly in tune with the quiet rhythm of the slumbering earth. Through the towering glass panels of the domed ceiling, the luminous full moon acts as a singular, gentle spotlight. As the lunar rays filter through the intricate wrought iron lattice and the overlapping canopy of dark green leaves, they cast beautiful geometric shadows across the smooth stone floor. These pools of silver light create a stunning visual contrast against the deep, cool blue shadows that pool in the dense undergrowth. And there, suspended perfectly within the slanted beams of moonlight, are millions of tiny, glowing dust motes, mixed with ancient, floating pollen. They perform an impossibly slow, ethereal ballet, drifting lazily downward in a mesmerizing, microkinetic dance. Without any breeze to guide them, they seem to follow the quiet, unseen currents of the castle's magic, rising and falling with hypnotic grace. You stop and stand entirely still within one of these lunar beams, letting the cool, silver light wash over you as you watch the golden particles slowly descend. There is no need to think, no need to understand, and absolutely no need to rush. The quiet beauty of the floating dust entirely captivates your heavy, sleepy mind. You are surrounded by life, yet entirely free from the noise, movement, and demands of the living. The conservatory has offered you a profound sense of grounded safety, wrapping you in the protective embrace of nature, while sheltering you behind walls of thick, magical glass. Your eyelids are now overwhelmingly heavy, fluttering shut for long, peaceful moments before slowly opening again to watch the drifting light. Every fiber of your being is surrendered to the restful magic of the spell. With a deeply contented sigh, you slowly turn away from the sleeping jasmine and the silver moonlight. The path leads you gently toward another arched doorway at the far end of the garden, guiding you out of the humid sanctuary and into the long, dark corridor of the armory gallery. You carry the absolute stillness of the sleeping plants with you, drifting ever closer to the final, deepest stages of a perfect, uninterrupted slumber. Leaving the humid, floral embrace of the glass conservatory behind, you step gently through another heavy stone archway, transitioning into a completely different realm of the slumbering fortress. The rich, damp fragrance of sleeping jasmine and moss slowly fades from your senses, replaced by the cool, dry, and incredibly pristine air of the inner keep. You find yourself standing at the beginning of a long, narrow corridor, a majestic architectural passageway that connects the lower structural wings to the highest, most secluded towers of the royal residence. The floor beneath your feet transitions from uneven, mossy cobblestones to perfectly smooth, polished slabs of dark slate, worn to a soft sheen by centuries of careful footsteps. Yet, as you take your first steps down this expansive hall, your movements remain absolutely silent. The profound, magical quiet of the 100-year curse absorbs every vibration, turning your journey into a weightless, floating glide through the ancient dark. The atmosphere here feels distinctly insulated and remarkably secure, wrapping around your tired shoulders like a heavy, protective cloak. As your eyes adjust to the deep, elongated perspective of the corridor, the magnificent scale of the gallery reveals itself. Along the left side of the hall, a continuous row of tall, narrow, arched windows looks out into the fathomless night. The heavy, dark indigo sky presses against the ancient glass, but it is pierced by the brilliant, soothing light of the full silver moon. These lunar rays slant downward through the arches, creating perfectly spaced diagonal beams of cool, ethereal light that cut through the rich navy shadows of the interior. This repeating pattern of light and dark creates a breathtaking visual rhythm across the smooth slate floor, a slow, steady metronome of silver and indigo that guides your gaze down the length of the hall. With every slow, deliberate breath you take, you feel your mind sinking to this steady architectural pulse. Inhale as you step into a pool of soft moonlight. Exhale as you glide through a patch of velvety shadow. Lining the right side of the corridor, standing in perfect, silent alignment with the windows, are the gallery's eternal guardians. These are towering suits of medieval plate armor, standing at quiet attention like a row of slumbering sentinels. In the waking world, a gallery of armor might feel imposing or martial. But under the benevolent, heavy spell of the briar rose, they have been transformed into monuments of absolute peace. The magic of the castle has perfectly preserved them, shielding the iron and steel from the ravages of rust and time. The metal surfaces are smooth and immaculate, catching the slanting rays of the moon and reflecting the light in soft, hazy, cell-shaded gradients of pale blue and shimmering silver. You pause to observe one of the sentinels closely. Its posture is not rigid or tense. Rather, the empty suit seems to have settled into itself, resting heavily upon its wooden stand, exhausted from centuries of standing watch. The sight of these powerful armored figures completely surrendered to the pervasive quiet sends a deep, resonant wave of safety through your chest. You are protected here, guarded by silent watchers who require nothing of you but to simply rest. Suspended in the air directly in front of the polished breastplates, caught within the localized beams of the silver moon, are thousands of tiny glowing dust motes. In the absolute stillness of the corridor, where no draft or breeze has moved for exactly 100 years, these delicate particles defy gravity. Because they are so incredibly small, the physics of the stagnant air allows them to float indefinitely, suspended in a state of perfect, magical equilibrium. They perform their slow, ethereal ballet, drifting lazily downward and rising again in imperceptible currents. They sparkle faintly against the dark steel of the armor, looking like a miniature sleepy galaxy of golden stars trapped within the castle walls. You stand perfectly still, letting your heavy eyelids droop as you watch a single glowing particle slowly descend toward the floor. The hypnotic microkinetic dance of the dust is a visual lullaby, demanding absolutely no cognitive effort from your weary mind. It simply lulls you deeper into a state of profound, thoughtless tranquility. Above the silent sentinels, hanging in the deep, shadowy recesses of the stone wall, is a collection of magnificent historic oil paintings. These large canvases are framed in dark, intricately carved oak, displaying the portraits of ancient kings, queens, and noble ancestors. The artistic style reflects a deep, romantic idealization of the past, a celebration of a nobler, quieter era. As the faint ambient moonlight washes over the painted faces, you notice something truly magical. The 100-year slumber has seeped into the very pigments of the canvas. The painted figures do not stare out with sharp, waking intensity. Instead, their eyes are heavy-lidded, their expressions profoundly serene and relaxed, as if they too have been caught in the gentle grip of the enchanted sleep. Their painted hands rest softly in their laps, and their shoulders are slumped in eternal comfort. Walking past them feels like wandering through a gallery of dreams, where even the memories of the past have been granted the gift of uninterrupted rest. The quiet companionship of these slumbering portraits makes you feel completely alone in the most comforting way imaginable. You continue your slow, effortless glide down the long corridor, passing one pool of moonlight and one sleeping sentinel after another. The rhythmic repetition is deeply hypnotic. Step by step, shadow by shadow, the physical weight of your body seems to increase, pulling you pleasantly toward the earth. The air grows even stiller, if such a thing is possible, as you approach the far end of the gallery. The cool silver light begins to soften and fade, giving way to the absolute dominance of the deep, velvety navy night. You are drawing closer to the inner sanctum, the very epicenter of the magical curse, where the slumber is at its most concentrated and unbreakable. The long, narrow passage has served its purpose, gently stripping away the final, lingering layers of your waking consciousness and preparing your mind for total surrender. With a deeply contented, heavy sigh, you drift past the final suit of armor, ready to step out of the shadows and onto the high balcony, letting the quiet tide of the enchanted night carry you ever closer to sleep. Leaving the protective, watchful silence of the armory gallery behind, your slow, weightless journey carries you toward a towering arched doorway at the very end of the corridor. Unlike the heavy oak doors of the lower levels, this archway is completely open to the night, framing a breathtaking expanse of the deep, velvety sky. As you drift closer, the faint, dry scent of ancient steel and polished stone gradually gives way to an incredibly crisp, pure night air. This is the air of the high altitudes, cold and refreshing, yet strangely gentle against your skin. You step through the stone threshold and find yourself standing upon a grand, sweeping balcony that clings to the side of the castle's highest, most majestic tower. You have reached the physical pinnacle of the slumbering fortress, suspended halfway between the ancient earth and the glittering heavens. Out here, the acoustic insulation of the thick castle walls falls away. Yet the silence remains just as profound, vast, and endless. It is a quiet that stretches out for miles in every direction, an infinite ocean of peace that immediately swallows any lingering, fragmented thoughts from your waking life. You walk slowly to the edge of the balcony, resting your hands gently upon the wide, weathered stone balustrade. The stone is cool to the touch, smoothed by centuries of rain and wind that have long since ceased. Looking up, you are greeted by the absolute majesty of the midnight sky. Unobscured by the canopy of the forest or the stained glass of the lower halls, the heavens are a breathtaking canvas of deep indigo, rich violet, and the darkest, most soothing navy blue. At the very center of this vast expanse hangs the full silver moon, a brilliant protective guardian watching over the enchanted domain. Its light is not harsh, but incredibly soft and diffused, casting a wide, ethereal glow that bathes the entire world in a cool, calming luminescence. You take a long, deep breath of the pristine air, feeling your chest expand and then slowly, heavily deflate. With that exhalation, you release the last stubborn remnants of tension in your body, offering them up to the vastness of the night sky, where they simply dissolve into the gentle dark. Directing your heavy, sleepy gaze downward, you take in the breathtaking panorama of the slumbering kingdom. The castle sits atop a high, rugged crag, offering a sweeping, uninterrupted view of the valley below. The ancient, old-growth forest, which once teemed with the chaotic, vibrant energy of the wild, is now a silent, undulating sea of dark, rounded shapes. Wrapping around the base of the castle and rolling out over the canopy of the trees is a thick, magnificent blanket of silvery mist. This fog is completely motionless, trapped in the same flawless, century-long stasis as the castle itself. It catches the moonlight, glowing with a soft, spectral luminescence that turns the rugged landscape into a dreamy, cloud-like sanctuary. The mist fills the deep ravines and pools in the lowlands, softening every harsh edge of the earth and hiding the waking world beneath a layer of pure, quiet magic. Watching this vast, glowing sea of fog induces a profound feeling of weightlessness, as if you too could simply step off the balcony and drift gently upon the silver clouds. As you stand overlooking the valley, you become acutely aware of a miraculous absence. In the high places of the world, the wind is a constant companion, howling around stone towers and whistling through the battlements. But here, touched by the benevolent curse of the 13th wise woman, the weather itself has been commanded to sleep. The wind dropped entirely, exactly 100 years ago, and not a single solitary breath of air has moved through the valley since. Below you, the millions of leaves on the great oak and pine trees are perfectly, flawlessly still. Not a single branch sways, not a single blade of grass shivers in the cold. This suspension of the natural elements is incredibly powerful to witness. It reassures your weary mind that the world has truly stopped its relentless forward motion. There is no weather to endure, no changing seasons to anticipate, and absolutely nothing to prepare for. The universe has paused, granting you an eternity of uninterrupted rest, a sacred permission to simply exist in this perfect, unmoving moment. Peering even further into the distance, beyond the edge of the misty forest, you can just make out the faint, dark silhouettes of the kingdom's villages and towns. They nestle quietly in the folds of the earth, completely surrendered to the spell of the briar rose. There is no smoke rising from the chimneys, no faint, warm glow of candlelight in the windows, and no distant barking of hounds. The baker, the blacksmith, the farmer, and the child are all resting in their beds, caught in a deep, dreamless slumber. You are entirely alone on this high balcony, yet you do not feel isolated or lonely. Instead, you feel a profound, comforting connection to the entire sleeping world below you. You are sharing in this massive, collective breath of rest. The knowledge that everyone and everything around you is perfectly safe, perfectly peaceful, and deeply asleep acts as a powerful, contagious sedative. Your own eyelids flutter, struggling against the incredibly heavy, soothing gravity of the enchanted night. Your chin dips toward your chest as the overwhelming urge to sleep finally overtakes your senses. You open your eyes one last time, focusing on the immediate space of the balcony. Even out here, in the open air, the magic holds true. Creeping along the edge of the stone balustrade are delicate tendrils of dark green ivy, their waxy leaves completely still, dusted with the silver light of the moon. And hovering just above the stone, trapped within a slanted beam of lunar light, is a small, localized galaxy of golden dust motes. They perform their impossibly slow, ethereal ballet, rising and falling in the breathless air, completely undisturbed by the vastness of the landscape around them. They are a visual anchor, a final hypnotic reminder of the profound safety of this place. With a deep, resonating sigh of absolute contentment, you turn your back on the sweeping panorama of the sleeping valley. You step away from the cool stone railing and glide slowly toward the dark, inviting archway of the tallest tower. It is time to leave the vastness behind and seek the ultimate, intimate comfort of the inner sanctum. Ready to embrace the deepest, most restorative stages of the century-long sleep. Turning away from the boundless expanse of the silver-lit valley, you step slowly back through the towering stone archway, leaving the crisp, high-altitude night air behind on the balcony. The transition is wonderfully soothing. As you cross the threshold into the heart of the highest tower, the profound acoustic insulation of the thick castle walls instantly wraps around you once more. The vast, open silence of the night sky is replaced by an incredibly intimate, muffled quiet that feels as soft and heavy as a down comforter. The air inside this elevated sanctuary is entirely different from the rest of the fortress. It is remarkably warm, carrying the faint, nostalgic fragrance of dried lavender, crushed chamomile, and ancient, perfectly preserved silk. Every deliberate, unhurried step you take carries you deeper into the ultimate core of the enchanted slumber, the final antechamber guarding the royal quarters. You feel the absolute safety of this hidden room settling deeply into your bones, coaxing your muscles to let go of any lingering tension. As your eyes adjust to the new environment, the breathtaking comfort of the royal antechamber reveals itself. This room was designed for quiet waiting, for rest, and for gentle companionship. And the magic of the briar rose has amplified its cozy nature 100-fold. The walls are draped in heavy, muted tapestries that absorb the faintest echoes, while the stone floor is completely covered by thick, luxurious carpets that cushion your tired feet. The cool, ethereal silver of the moonlight is entirely absent here, blocked by heavy velvet curtains drawn tightly across the narrow tower windows. In its place is the absolute warmest, dimmest illumination you have encountered on your journey. It is a soft, heavy amber glow that radiates with a sleepy intensity, bathing the room in the comforting hues of a dying hearth fire. This light does not ask you to look closely or to stay awake. Instead, it provides a gentle, visual warmth that soothes your heavy-lidded eyes and encourages them to finally close. Within this cocoon of amber warmth, the faithful attendants of the kingdom are caught in their century of perfect rest. Scattered throughout the luxurious room, resting peacefully upon plush velvet couches and overstuffed armchairs, are the royal ladies in waiting. They succumbed to the protective magic exactly 100 years ago, just as the rest of the court did. They wear highly authentic, beautifully tailored medieval dresses in muted, calming shades of deep plum, forest green, and earthy brown. Their postures are the very definition of absolute, uninterrupted relaxation. Some lean back into the deep cushions, their heads resting softly upon embroidered silk pillows, while others have slumped gently forward, their hands folded quietly in their laps. The magic has preserved them flawlessly, shielding them from time and care, leaving their faces smooth, serene, and completely free from the worries of the waking world. You find yourself standing still in the center of the antechamber, captivated by the profound peace radiating from the sleeping figures. Moving with slow, weightless grace, you approach one of the velvet couches to observe the flawless stasis. In the dim, atmospheric light, you can clearly see the incredibly slow, rhythmic rise and fall of the maiden's chest. Her breathing is so deep, so measured, and so profoundly relaxed that it acts as a powerful hypnotic pendulum. Inhale and exhale. You cannot help but mirror this perfect rhythm. As you match your own breathing to the slow, heavy ocean tide of her slumber, a wave of intense, heavy relaxation travels down your neck, through your shoulders, and into your arms. The sheer tranquility of the room is deeply contagious, a collective breath of rest that pulls you downward into the soft, velvet gravity of the enchanted castle. You are sharing in a moment of pure, undisturbed hibernation, and the desire to join them in sleep becomes an overwhelming, beautiful necessity. The source of the room's sleepy warmth sits upon a low, intricately carved wooden table near the center of the antechamber. It is a single, ancient oil lamp, its flame magically suspended and shielded by a dome of frosted glass. The magic prevents the oil from ever burning away, preserving the exact moment of twilight forever. Tracked within the gentle, localized radius of this amber halo are thousands of tiny, glowing dust motes. In the stagnant, breathless air of the closed room, these delicate particles perform an ethereal ballet, drifting lazily through the warm light. They rise and fall without purpose, without hurry, sparking faintly like a localized galaxy of golden miniature stars. You watch a single glowing dust mote slowly descend, tracing its hypnotic path until it comes to rest completely still upon the velvet armrest of a nearby chair. The microkinetic dance of the dust demands absolutely no effort to observe. It sweeps away the very last stubborn fragments of your conscious thoughts, leaving your mind wonderfully blank, quiet, and serene. The antechamber has done its work perfectly. It has stripped away the vastness of the outside world, insulated you from the cold, and wrapped your mind in the thick, heavy velvet of the castle's magic. You are entirely untethered from the demands of reality, floating effortlessly in the warm, amber shallows of a dream. Your eyelids flutter, struggling to stay open for more than a few seconds at a time. The pull of the enchanted sleep is undeniable and profoundly welcomed. At the far end of the cozy room, barely visible in the gathering shadows, stands a single ornate wooden door. It is the final threshold, the entrance to the inner sanctum where the sleeping beauty herself rests. With a deep, resonating sigh of absolute contentment, you turn your gaze away from the drifting dust and the slumbering attendants. Every muscle in your body feels heavy, warm, and loose as you take a slow, silent step toward the final door, ready to cross over into the deepest, most restorative stage of your century-long journey into the night. With a final, deeply contented sigh, you reach out and place your hand against the smooth, dark wood of the heavy, ornate door at the end of the antechamber. It is the very last threshold of your long, peaceful journey through the slumbering fortress. The door glides open with the absolute, frictionless silence that characterizes this enchanted realm, yielding to your gentle push as if it has been waiting for you all these years. You step over the worn stone sill and enter the highest, most secluded chamber of the tallest tower. As the door clicks softly shut behind you, the faint, warm amber glow of the ladies in waiting is completely sealed away. You are now standing in the very epicenter of the 13th wise woman's ancient magic, the profound, unshakable core of the 100-year sleep. The acoustic insulation here is absolute. The silence does not just surround you. It feels as though it gently enters your mind, actively wrapping every lingering, fragmented thought in layers of thick, heavy velvet until your consciousness is perfectly, flawlessly quiet. The atmosphere inside this circular stone tower room is unlike anything you have experienced in the lower levels of the castle. It is the concentrated essence of rest. The air is remarkably cool, yet it carries a comforting, heavy density, like the feeling of a thick, woven blanket settling over your shoulders on the coldest night of winter. It smells faintly of ancient, dried rose petals and the clean, pristine scent of undisturbed midnight dust. The soaring, vaulted ceiling above is lost in a canopy of rich, fathomless indigo shadows, creating a profound sense of insulated safety. You are completely hidden from the waking world, elevated far above the forests and the valleys, cocooned within walls of impenetrable stone, and the sprawling, thorny labyrinth of the briar rose outside. There is absolutely nothing required of you here. No past to regret, no future to plan for. Only the beautiful, eternal present of this perfectly still, unchanging night. You feel the gravity of the room pulling gently at your limbs, a sweet, irresistible heaviness that makes every subtle movement feel like moving through deep, slow water. In the center of the vast, shadowy room rests a magnificent, heavy wooden bed, draped in layers of the softest, most luxurious muted silks and dark velvet. And there, lying in the center of the plush cushions, is the sleeping beauty herself, the Princess Briar Rose. She is the very heart of the enchanted slumber, the tether that holds the entire castle in its century-long suspension. She sleeps with an incredibly profound, flawless serenity. Her hands rest gently atop the dark fabrics, entirely relaxed, her fingers curled slightly in the ultimate posture of peace. Her face is a portrait of untroubled rest, untouched by the passage of 100 years, bathed in the soft, ethereal gloom of the tower. To look upon her is to witness the absolute perfection of sleep. The frantic, nervous energy of human existence has been entirely smoothed away, replaced by the slow, steady, majestic rhythm of a life paused in perfect harmony with the silent universe. Her stillness is not an absence of life, but a deep, restorative gathering of energy, a hibernation so profound that it instantly captures your own weary heart. The room is swallowed in the comforting deep navy and cool indigo hues of the deepest midnight, illuminated by only one solitary source of light. Through a single narrow arched stone window high on the curved wall, a distinct, brilliant beam of pure silver moonlight angles downward. It cuts a crisp diagonal path through the heavy shadows, acting as a magical spotlight that falls gently across the foot of the royal bed. Trapped entirely within this slanted pillar of lunar light is a breathtaking, localized galaxy of tiny, glowing golden dust motes. In the absolute breathless stasis of the highest tower, where not even the ghost of a breeze has stirred for a century, these delicate particles perform their final, mesmerizing ballet. They drift with impossible slowness, rising and falling in an invisible, magical tide, catching the silver light and sparkling softly against the enveloping dark. You stand at the edge of the moonbeam, completely transfixed by their microkinetic dance. Watching them requires no effort, no focus, and no thought. It is a visual lullaby that gently sweeps away the last trembling hold you have on the waking world. You slowly lower yourself onto a remarkably plush, velvet-covered bench near the foot of the bed, yielding completely to the overwhelming weight of your own fatigue. As you sit, your body sinks deeply into the soft fabric, feeling entirely supported, held, and cradled by the ancient furniture. You turn your gaze back to the sleeping princess and focus solely on the incredibly slow, measured rise and fall of her chest. Inhale, exhale. The rhythm of her breathing is the metronome for the entire enchanted kingdom. Without even realizing it, your own lungs begin to mirror her long, deep, sweeping breaths. With every slow inhalation, you draw in the cool, soothing, magical air of the sanctuary, feeling it quiet the frantic beating of your heart. With every long, heavy exhalation, you sink deeper into the velvet cushions, your physical body becoming entirely loose, entirely surrendered to the pull of the earth. Your arms and legs feel wonderfully heavy, like warm stones resting at the bottom of a quiet, sunlit river. The boundary between your mind and the sleeping castle begins to blur, fading into a shared collective state of total tranquility. Your eyelids are fluttering now, unable to remain open for more than a fleeting second. The silver moonbeam begins to soften at the edges, the sparkling dust motes blurring into a gentle, hazy golden mist. The deep, rich indigo shadows in the corners of the room seem to stretch and yawn, creeping slowly forward to embrace the bed, the velvet bench, and you. The overwhelming silence of the tower wraps around you like a thick, protective cocoon, sealing you away in a universe where only rest exists. You take one final, deeply satisfying breath, feeling the absolute safety of the briar rose magic settling into the very marrow of your bones. There is no need to stay awake any longer. The journey is complete. You have found the quietest, safest place in the world. As the last sliver of silver light fades into the profound, velvety blackness of a dreamless night, you let go completely. You drift down, down, down into the beautiful, unending depths of the century-long slumber, joining the castle, the forest, and the princess in perfect, eternal peace.